What's going on, everybody? Fitz here from clearwp.com, and today we're going to be teaching you how to install a web server on your local machine. You can install this on your desktop, laptop, it doesn't matter. You can use Windows, Linux, Mac. It's up to you. The sky's the limit. So let's just go ahead and jump right into installing WordPress locally on your machine. So the first thing you're going to want to do is we are going to want to head over to google.com, because Google is going to be our best friend here, and we're going to search for Xampp. That's with an X, X-A-M-P-P, and we want to do something kind of magical here. We want to pick the operating system that we have. We have Windows, we also have Linux, as well as Mac OS. So you want to pick the operating system that best suits you. In our instance, it's going to be Windows. Very good. So you should be taken to a download page that looks similar to this. Now, typically the download should start instantly. In case it does not, you just want to make sure that it didn't download. You don't want to use too much bandwidth. Check the downloads, see if it pops in there. Sometimes it does. Nothing, no problem there. So let's go ahead and click this "it did not download" button here that says click here. We see a list of repositories. We have Mac, Linux, Windows. So pick your operating system, in our case Windows here. So we're going to get a list of different versions of the software. We want to get the latest version, 7.4.4. Now we have a bunch of different options to choose from, a bunch of different installers. I typically want to go for a more stable release. We have the 7.44 here at the bottom, has the most downloads. Most likely this is the most stable version. So I'm going to go ahead and click to download this. It should take a few minutes. It's kind of a big file if you don't have a fast connection. It takes only a couple of seconds to download if you do have a fast connection. So we'll go ahead and get that downloaded. We'll save it, and then once it's downloaded, we want to head over to our downloads by clicking View Downloads. It should open up a folder. Okay, so we actually click Run. So we have a couple of options here. It's going to tell you that you have maybe antivirus software that might not be compatible. I do use Windows Pro, so this is the user authentication. So not really worried, just click OK, it should work well. Follow the simple steps. I recommend to keep all of the settings that it's going to install, and that's just for your peace of mind, and maybe you would use some of this stuff in the future as you begin to learn your craft. So you want to pick a good installation folder. You can change this. I like leaving it default. You have a bunch of different language choices to choose from, English and Dutch, so go wild if you know Dutch. Very cool. So now we're going to click Next, and we are going to wait just a moment as this process begins to install. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. And just like that, through the power of the internet, we are going to skip right through the installation process, and it's just going to take just a quick second. And boom, we are now finishing up the installation process. So what we are going to want to do is make sure that we click. So now we're finished with the process. What we want to do is we want to allow access, and this is just because if you don't, then it's going to think that it's not really approved software. Alright, so you will get more than likely a couple of those allow prompts, which is just normal. So we want to go ahead and wait as that continues to finish up the installation process. Alright, thank you Bitnami for XAMPP for Xampp. Really do appreciate you. Alright, now that we have our application installed, we just want to click Finish. Very good. And what's going to happen is that it's going to open up the control panel. We have a couple of options here. We have Apache, MySQL, FileZilla. The only two that we need to focus on for this tutorial is going to be Apache and MySQL. And you just want to approve that alert that you just saw. If you don't get it, You're in the clear. It's just your firewall. Now to make sure your installation worked, you want to type localhost in your web browser. You should be redirected to a screen that looks similar to that. And I'm just making sure that phpMyAdmin installed successfully, which it did. So now you have a web server on your local machine. So let's go ahead and get prepared to get WordPress installed, and let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, very cool, making progress. So what we're going to do is go to google.com and we're going to search for WordPress, all one word. So we're going to see two options here. We're going to see WordPress.com and WordPress.org. WordPress.com is basically a hosted solution. You don't really download WordPress. Don't really recommend WordPress.com. WordPress.org is where it's at. It's where we're going to allow ourselves to download WordPress, the latest version, straight to our computer. You see a big blue button. Let's go ahead and click on that button, and let's be taken to a download page, or at least it should pop up with the file downloading. Whatever happens to you, just download the file. In this case, it downloaded immediately. Let's just wait a couple seconds for that to download, and it's going to open up, and we're going to copy these files over to our Xampp installation. Alright, so we have the files here. We have a directory, WordPress. Let's just go inside of the directory. Let's open up the location to where Xampp actually holds the files for the htdocs, which is basically what you see when you type localhost. So there's a couple of things that we have to do here, and I'm going to show you. We have to go to htdocs first, and there's some folders and some extra files that we want to hide. So what I'm going to do, just so we can keep these, is right click and create a new folder. You can name whatever you want to. It's truly up to you. In this case, I believe it's just Xampp. Old would be appropriate, or something to the line of that nature. I'm going to copy all the files that are there, drag and drop into that folder. Very good. And now what I want to do is go over to the WordPress folder and go inside of it and actually copy all these files into the root directory. Pretty simple. Just select all of them, right click, copy, come over to your Xampp htdocs, right click and paste. Takes a couple seconds. Boom, there we go. Excellent. Very good. So now what we need to do is we need to see if our server is actually running. So we make sure we have start on Apache and MySQL. If you're following along from a little bit ago, these should be running, but if for some reason you don't see your screen happening, this is why you're not running. Alright, so those are just the ports IP address what we pointed to. Make sure nothing changes. We want to type localhost, and what we should see is the beginning of WordPress installation. So now we are ready to move on. We're going to create a database through phpMyAdmin, and we're just going to jump into it. Alright, so back to the WordPress installation overview. What we want to do is we want to go open up a new tab. We will type localhost /phpMyAdmin. So we should see a page that looks similar to this. On your left hand side you have a list of your databases. On your right hand side you should have some data. So we want to click on databases here, and this is going to take us to a list of databases. You can click new on the left hand side to do this too, but let's just follow along. Type in the new database name that you want to call it. I'm just going to call this local WordPress just to be memorable. So we'll save that, and now we're inside the database. We could create a table if we want to. We can do all sorts of different things, but let's just jump back to installing WordPress. So we have our language selected. In this case, it's English. whatever your language that you speak natively, feel free to pick that. Let's click continue. So we need a bit of details. We need the database, the host, the username, etc. And we'll just give that to you right now. So the username is going to be the username that you get into your database. The password is going to be the password that you use to get to your admin, phpMyAdmin. phpMyAdmin is default to root with no password. Being that this is on a local machine, you really don't have to worry about it too much. If this was on a public facing server, you definitely want to change that. We have a table prefix. You can make that whatever you want to. Your host is always localhost. Clicking next is going to take you to a page that's going to check. So you want to make sure you run the installer. And what this is going to do is allow you to create the name of your WordPress website. So this will be my blog. This could be funny cats, whatever it is that you want to choose. Pick a good username and password. Being that this is localhost, admin and password is what we're going to choose. Once again, if you're on the actual web, you do want to make sure that you do pick certain things that are secure. As always, you can email me at jody@clearwp.com if you need help. So let's just go ahead and click install WordPress. So this is just going to take just a moment as it's installing on the databases, and hopefully it'll pop open very soon. Very good, success, congratulations, WordPress is now installed. You should be taken to your WP login for your admin. Use your username and password that you created. You can remember me if you want, and click login. Alright, very good. So once we're in the admin, congratulations, WordPress has been successfully installed. Here you can install new appearances, which are themes, you can do plugins, etc. But let's open up a new tab and go to localhost. So once you type localhost, you'll be able to see your blog. Once again, congratulations, you now have WordPress installed locally. Feel free to play around with it. Check out the phpMyAdmin, look at the database structure there. It's definitely informative to know how your WordPress operates, really. So let's give ourselves a big round of applause. If you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me once again at jody@clearwp. I do have a website, clearwp.com, where I try to upload content and articles quite regularly. So feel free to check that out. You guys take care. I hope you learned something cool, and we'll talk to you soon.